Okay, so I was not planning to open this way, and I need to sit with this for a second because what just came out, what these cards are showing me before I have said a single word about August, is something I was not ready for. There is something being removed from your life. Not slowly, not gradually, the way things usually shift. Something specific. Something that has had its hand on your shoulder for months, pressing down, keeping you from standing fully upright. And these cards are telling me it is about to lose its grip. Not because you finally do something right, not because you earn it, because something in the sky on August 12th is going to take it off you. And by the end of this reading, you are going to understand exactly what that was and why the last few months felt the way they did. Stay with me, because what is actually happening right now is not what anyone else is telling you about this period. And the first thing these cards showed me, before anything else, is wait, not difficulty. Wait, there is a difference. Difficulty is circumstantial. Weight is something being held on top of you. And what I am looking at for you right now is the specific exhaustion of someone who has been carrying something that was never theirs to carry in the first place. Something that was placed, something that required your uncertainty to keep running. I will come back to what placed it, because that is the part of this reading that is going to land differently from anything else you have watched today. But first, I need to show you the architecture of what is happening in the sky right now, because once you see the structure of these 12 days, the cards will make complete sense. So, everyone is talking about Lion's Gate on August 8th like it is the destination. Circle the date, set the intention, do the ritual, wait for the feeling, and then, when the 8th passes and life looks roughly the same, quietly wonder if they missed it. They did not miss it. They just misread what it was. Lion's Gate is not the destination. It is the door opening. Stay with me 1 second on this. I will keep it simple. What happens between August 8th and August 12th is a 4-day window where the door decides what is allowed to come through with you. And August 12th, the total solar eclipse, is when everything that cannot continue into the next phase of your life gets removed. Not punished, not lost, removed, deliberately on your behalf. Those 4 days between the portal and the eclipse are the most important stretch of this entire period, and almost nobody is talking about them. That is what the cards were pointing at from the moment they landed. Not August 8th, not a single date on the calendar, the 4 days after it. The quiet examination of what in your life is real versus what only looked real when the light was hitting it a certain way. And something in your life has only been surviving because of how the light was hitting it. Now I need to explain what a total solar eclipse actually is. Not the spiritual interpretation, the literal event. Because once you understand the physical thing, everything else falls into place. On August 12th, the moon moves directly in front of the sun, and for a few minutes, daylight disappears. Not like clouds, not like dusk, actual darkness in the middle of the day. People who have stood under a total eclipse always describe the same thing. They were not prepared for how wrong it felt. Ancient, disorienting, like the world briefly forgot what it was supposed to do. Then, the moon passes. The sun comes back. Daylight returns and looks exactly as it always did, except now you know it can be interrupted. Spiritually, that interruption is what happens to the things in your life that have felt permanent. The dynamics you accepted as just the way things are. The weight you assumed was yours to carry indefinitely. The version of yourself you have been performing because something or someone made it feel required. The eclipse removes the familiar light. And in that removal, for the first time, you can see what you have actually been navigating by. What guides you when the thing you always relied on is suddenly gone? What you reach for in the dark. For some people, when the light returns, they discover they were navigating by something real, something internal, something always theirs. For others, when the light returns, they discover they were following someone else's compass entirely. Either way, the eclipse does not create what it reveals. It removes what was hiding it. And this is where I have to come back to what these cards showed me at the start, because there is something I have not said yet, something the pull pointed at from the beginning, and I have been building toward because I wanted to make sure the context was right before I said it directly. The weight of the last few months, the pressing down, the static, the specific exhaustion of showing up and doing everything you know how to do and still feeling like something invisible was making it twice as hard, was not just a season. And it was not just you. Something was feeding it. Something or someone had an active investment in you staying in the static, in you being uncertain enough, depleted enough, half awake enough that you could not look up and see what was actually available to you. Because a fully awake version of you is something it could not survive. For some of you, this is a person. Someone close. Someone who offered just enough to keep you tethered and withdrew just enough to keep you off balance. Who needed you questioning your own perception. Because a version of you that trusted what she saw was a version they could not manage. You were not imagining that pattern. You were not weak for not naming it sooner. They were very deliberate about how they ran it. For others, it is a situation, a dynamic, a role you were cast in that had a quiet investment in you staying exactly in that role. Because the moment you stepped outside it, the whole arrangement lost its logic. Either way. The cards showed me this before I said a single word today. That first pull, the weight, the pressing down, the something being held on top of you, this is what they were pointing at. Not a difficult season, something specific. Something that needed the interference to keep running. And August 12th is when the eclipse removes its camouflage. Not because you fight back, not because you expose it or confront it or make a decision dramatic enough to shift the whole thing, because the light changes. And in the new light, the camouflage simply stops working. Here is what I am seeing for you in those 4 days between Lion's Gate and the eclipse. There will be a moment, probably quiet, probably not what you were expecting, where something that person says or something about that dynamic does not land the way it used to. Where you hear something you have heard 100 times, and instead of absorbing it and reorganizing yourself around it the way you always have, you notice it clearly, without the layer of doubt that used to sit between you and what you actually knew. The noticing is quiet, but it is also irreversible. You cannot unsee what the eclipse illuminates. And the person or the situation that has been feeding the heaviness, they are not fine. I need to say that because I know it has looked that way from the outside. I know the last few months appeared to work in their favor while you were the one struggling. But what the cards are showing me about where they actually are right now is not steadiness. The steadiness is performance, and performance requires an audience. And you, slowly, without announcing it, without a confrontation they could use, have been withdrawing from that audience. Less reactive, less available, less willing to absorb and reorganize yourself around what they needed. And that withdrawal has been doing something to the performance that is not yet visible from the outside. The eclipse is about to make it visible. They were counting on August being more of the same, more of you in the static, more of the arrangement they built. They were wrong. Now I want to tell you about the Perseids, because I think this is the most quietly beautiful part of what is happening on August 12th, and almost nobody is mentioning it. The Perseid meteor shower peaks in the early hours of August 13th. And the reason it matters, the reason it is significant beyond coincidence, is what makes it possible to see the meteors so clearly this year. The new moon darkens the night sky. The eclipse darkens the day. And that double darkness, day and night both stripped of their usual light, makes the meteors visible in a way they simply would not be under normal conditions. The sky has to remove its brightest sources of light before you can see what has been moving behind them. This is exactly what is happening in your life right now. The things that have been too loud, too bright, too immediately demanding, they have been making it impossible to see what has been quietly moving toward you. Building toward you, growing in the background while the heavy thing in the foreground took everything you had. And something has been growing. The cards are clear on this. Something further along than you have let yourself believe, because believing it felt dangerous when so much else felt uncertain. Something you have been holding the idea of in the background while the pressing down thing held the foreground. The eclipse does not create this, it reveals it. The dark sky shows you what has been moving toward you while your attention was elsewhere. And here is the thing I opened this reading needing to say. The thing I promised you would understand by the end, you are not doing this alone. And the last few months, as much as they have felt like evidence of the opposite, were not abandonment. They were not the protection going quiet at the exact moment you needed it. What I am getting around your energy right now is something that has been active the entire time. Not absent, not waiting, active and deliberate and working specifically on your behalf in ways the heaviness was designed to make invisible. Because the pressing down was also pressing the foundation in. Every month that felt like nothing was moving, something was being made solid underneath. Every time you held on when it would have been easier to let go, something was being confirmed about what you are capable of carrying. Every moment of uncertainty you moved through anyway, that was load-bearing. That was preparation. The thing moving toward you in that dark sky, the thing the eclipse is about to make visible, is not arriving as a coincidence. It is arriving because what the last few months built in you is exactly what is required to hold what comes next. And the person or the situation that fed the heaviness, they were participating in your preparation against their own intentions. Every time they pressed down, they made the foundation stronger. Every month, they needed you small. They were building the version of you the eclipse is about to reveal. They built you. Without knowing it, without intending it, without any version of that being what they wanted, they built the exact version of you that what is coming requires. One more thing before we close. And it is the instruction the cards have been pointing toward since the very first pull. Between August 8th and August 12th, write things down. Not to analyze them, not to build a plan, just record what surfaces. What thought keeps returning when you get quiet. What you suddenly lose interest in without deciding to. What starts feeling more important than it did last week without you being able to explain why. Because the eclipse does not create the story on August 12th. It reveals the one that has been forming since August began. And for you, since long before August began? After the 12th, you will look back at what you wrote. And the pattern will be impossible to miss. So if this reading is landing for you, if any part of what these cards showed me at the start makes sense in the context of your specific life right now, my personal readings are open. The link is in the description. In a session, I look at your natal chart and show you exactly which of these August transits is landing on your specific placements. Whether this eclipse is a closing, a beginning, or both for you personally, come find me there and drop in the comments. Tell me this is yours. Tell me what has been pressing down that you are finally ready to name. I will see you in the next one.